So now I'm just going to brief you about tools and materials that you will need. So a document will be provided, so you could just scroll through that, and you might want to write down all that is listed there, and then see what are the things that you already have with you, and then just make a list of the things that you need to buy. Okay, so let me just brief, then I will just let you know a few more information that you need to keep in mind before purchasing. So weighing scale, and then the first one in this image is the normal one where you will be weighing the flour, sugar and stuff like that, and the micro weighing scale will be needed when you are going to measure anything less than 10 grams, like say 5 grams or 2 grams. Usually the recipes come with teaspoons and tablespoons measure, but then when we have to be like exactly precise, it is better to have a micro weighing scale as well. So I have added that one also. And then the measuring cups and spoons, the 240 ml should be fine. The 1 cup equals 240 ml should be fine. We don't have to like really confuse between is it UK or US, and so that confusion you can just avoid. But the recipes are going to use cups and teaspoons, but we can't be like, hey, I don't want the cups, and then can you convert it to all grams, and I just need to always use weighing scale, and that let's not do that. Wherever cups are to be used, we'll use the cups. It's just that we need to learn how to rightly use the cup measurements. So cups and spoons will be necessary, and then when it comes to ml, liquid will be measured in jars, and so we'll need measuring jars as well. And between the hand beater and the stand mixer, now if you already have a stand mixer, you don't need a hand beater. But then having one hand beater always handy is fine, but it is not necessary. Also a stand mixer, if you don't have yet, then stand mixer again is not necessary. If you want to start with not wanting to spend so much, then hand beater is quite fine, and that's not very expensive as well. But if you feel like now this is the time that you need to invest and then just go on with the course, then you can go for Inalsa if you are in India. Obviously KitchenAid and Kenwood are really good, and then they are more powerful as well, but I'm just giving you the low budget one, and that is also good. So Inalsa is in India supposed to be good, which is not as expensive as the other stand mixers. Okay, and yeah, obviously silicone spatula just says minimum of 2. It depends on how much you just want to use and wash and use and stuff like that. 2, one small and one big, and a metal strainer, 1 is enough. The picture just shows 3, but then 1 is more than enough. But it's important that you have a metal sieve, so you could just tap and then let the dry flour sift it together. And so stainless steel bowls, like you want to round it on the inside, but obviously you want to keep it flat, so flat bottom and then rounded inside will be much better, and that will be needed when you are going to use to beat the egg whites, because you don't want to use plastic ones. Glass, yes, but if you are able to maintain the glass, but stainless steel is so much better because washing and maintaining it is quite easy. Then glass bowls, obviously only if you like need to kind of see through what is there. Otherwise glass bowls are not really mandatory. You can, for measuring and stuffs, you could do plastic bowls as well, but for beating I suggest to use stainless steel. But if you want to use glass bowls, you could use like choices between the stainless steel and the glass for beating. I use glass because it needs to be see-through for the camera, so you guys could see what's happening inside the bowl. So that's the only reason I use glass. And if I have to do it for my personal use, then I prefer using stainless steel. Okay, and so the number of the bowls that are needed is given there in the document. So cake pan, so most of the cakes that we will be doing is on a 6-inch pan. So a 6-inch will be quite good, otherwise, because then you wouldn't be able to compare the height of the cake that you get, which is going to match with the one that I have done in the lessons. So 6-inch you can just figure out and then get, because most of them are 6-inch. Then there are a few which is in square for opera, and then we are doing travel cake, and then we are doing the the peanut candy thing, the Snickers, in a loaf pan, and that is also given here, but most of the layout cakes are 6-inch. Okay, and a zester, you don't need so many, the pictures just from the Google. Okay, so a zester like this is fine, or in any way you think you can just zest the lemon and the orange. So we'll be using the lemon and the orange skin, and we want to zest and then remove the outer portion, but we can't be taking in that white part, and that will turn bitter. So that zester is very important, and that is not being too deep to get the white also. It should not get that white part of the lemon's skin or the orange skin. So a zester is important, and butter paper to line your baking pan, and then the sides, and then we can also line the baking tray. Then a silicone pastry brush, one is enough. We just use it to brush the cake pans with butter. That will be the first use, and then we'll also use it to soak the sponge or the cake with sugar syrup or coffee syrup. Palette knife set of 5. I don't think I've used it in the lesson for you to see, but that will come in handy when you're going to work on sharp edges. Now I have done sharp edges in the lessons, and some of them I have just left the edges just stay there, and in some of them I have finished the sharp edges, but it's a simple technique that I have used. It's like a freehand technique, like as you work with practice is what you get. But then if you want to just try your hands at sharp edges, then you could buy the set of 5 palette knife, or you could just skip that initially and then later on you could buy, and because that is not like the must stuff in the list. But then the offset metal spatula, the one that is there, then that is important for you to have, because that is what you're going to pick up the cream and then apply. And OHP sheet is important because we are going to layer the cake in an acrylic ring, and we want to line the inside of the acrylic ring with OHP. All that is shown in the video lesson, how detailed we have to do. But then initially what you need to buy. So every cake will need 1 sheet of OHP, and yeah, maybe you could wash it and then reuse it, but prefer to use fresh one. So maybe you're going to do 15 out of each, like 3-4 are not going to be like the layers, because like the the travel cake and the Snickers cake and then the tiramisu are going to be set differently, layered differently. So then you have 12 layers. So maybe you will need a minimum of 12 OHP sheets, and that will be available in stationery shops as well. And cake boards, yeah, because most of our cake are 6-inch, then where are you going to place that cake, right? So we need a 8-inch board, like 2 inches bigger than the size of the cake is the board that I prefer using. So we have 8-inch. You will need about 12, not 3, or if you're going to use that particular cake for your home and not going to send it away, then you can just wipe out and then reuse the same board. Serrated knife, obviously we need like one long one, so you could just tote the sponges, like we are toting even one sponge into 4 sometimes and one sponge into 3. We are using thinner layers of the sponges in this course. So serrated knife, a long one with like very close the texture, or that the edge of the serrated knife, just make sure they are like quite close and a good quality serrated knife. Piping bags, obviously we are going to fill in the layers with the filling. We are going to put that in the piping bags only, and then do like one whole bag will be like say maybe 100 piping bags, you will need one of that. And cling wrap, we will be cling wrapping, is going to be like extensively used. We'll cling wrap the sponges and then freeze it and stuff like that, and we will also be layering the cake and then again and cling wrapping it and then freezing it. So cling wrap, one roll, small one or 2, or a bigger one as well. And then scissors, obviously for cutting stuffs. Knife is like for simple kitchen knife for chopping stuffs, and your toothpick, you need to know to poke it into the sponge to check if the cake is done or not, so toothpick. And then obviously bench scraper or the metal scraper for you to scrape down the sides and then get smooth finish. Sellotape is needed when you're going to use OHP sheet to line the inside of the acrylic ring. you might want to stick the inside. That is shown in the video how to do. So you just need that initially. So when you see the video of how to do that, you will know the method. Then the piping nozzle, obviously there is 24 set and there is 52, and here we are not going to make you do, hey, you have to do the stars piping on this. There is no restriction, or there is no forcing you to do stuffs about decoration on this particular course. But out of your own interest, if you want to try out at this stage, you could buy. But if you feel like, because I haven't used much of like star piping or stuffs like that, I have used a bigger round nozzle to pipe the tiramisu ladyfingers, and some blobs that I have just piped on the top. Otherwise nozzles I haven't used much. You could ignore this to start with. Maybe you could just buy one big round nozzle to pipe the tiramisu, and this you could just save it for later. Thermometer, one of the two should be fine. The ray gun or the laser gun thermometer is quite fine. I haven't used that in the video, but that is handy because it just is easier to check the temperature as you're cooking the sugar. The other one is like you need to dip it in. That is the one I have used, the one on the left side, the black one that looks like a thermometer. That is what I have used in the video. So that is less expensive, and the ray gun is a bit more expensive. So you could just maybe skip the laser and then buy the one on the left, which is the regular thermometer. But then you have to be holding it and checking all the time inside. But if it is a ray gun, you can just point from outside, doesn't have to go touch the liquid, which is like already very hot. Okay, trays, yeah, for piping the lady fingers, but obviously you should be having a tray if you have the oven, and it should come with the oven. If you don't, then maybe one baking tray. Turntable, yeah, it will be kind of easier to frost your cake on the sides. Wire whisk, yeah, one is needed, one should be enough. Obviously OTG or any oven, your built-in oven or your deck, or whichever oven right now you have should be fine. It's not OTG, it's just, I just wanted to say oven is most important because we have to bake cakes. But if you are first timer, you still yet to buy oven, then you could start with OTG. Any brand with good reviews on Amazon is quite good. You could just read through the reviews and then just go on to a nearby shop and then see if they have, or you could just place your order on the Amazon based on the reviews, and you could check any offers and stuffs and then buy however it suits you. Oven thermometer is important because we'll just calibrate all your ovens before we start up with all the lessons. But any one from the Amazon with again good reviews, the ones that is popping up, the first two should be just fine, and however it looks in this document, that's how it's going to be on Amazon as well. Silk pad, we are just going to use that to pipe your lady fingers and to go on top of the baking tray before baking. So that will be needed. Aluminium foil, yes, one roll. Saucepan, again we will have to cook or heat sugar syrup or boiling the milk, and a lot of usage is there. If you have in your home and you boil the milk, then that should be fine, you don't have to buy. Oven mitt, obviously if you already have an oven and been baking, then you need that to remove the cake pan from the oven. So obviously you could have like a pair of it to make sure it's like quite heat resistant. With the ones that are available, it's like quite thin, and then you can't even just hold the pan for quite a long time. So you can just check if it is like really heat resistant. Then the cooling wire rack you could buy. I don't think it comes with the oven, the set of oven, but it is necessary because you take the cake out of the oven, and then if you're going to place it on top of a table like this, then it doesn't start cooling from the bottom of the pan. So you want to have a gap between the cake pan as you're cooling and your work table. So when you take the cake out of the oven, you want to place the pan on the cooling rack and not your tabletop. So cooling rack is important. Acrylic ring 6-inch I've just said 2 numbers just in case maybe one you just maybe wanting to do, you skipped like say a couple of lessons and you want to come back and then you're starting to work on 2 lessons at the same time and you just have one acrylic ring and you're like, so I felt it's like maybe we should have 2, or if you think that is going to affect the cost of the entire stuff that you need to buy, then even 1 should be fine. Okay, and then the travel cake mold looks like this in the picture. It is there on the Amazon as well, and yeah, we'll know how to use that when we are going to have that lesson released, but right now that mold will be useful for the travel cake lesson. Cake ring, that is a 5-inch ring because we need to use for the jelly that we will be setting for the mojito cake, the lime jelly. So that ring, the jelly should be a little smaller than the size of the cake. So size of the cake is 6 inches, right? And so the 5 inches will be the ring in which we are going to set the jelly, and that will be used for layering. So we'll be adding the jelly itself in between the layers. So 2 of that because we need to set at the same time. Okay, small hemisphere silicone mold, like 1 or maybe 1 is enough. Okay, I think the size of each of the hemisphere will be about an inch. The diameter of the hemisphere will be about an inch. So that's the size we are looking at. Okay, round cutter set, maybe you will not be using all of them, but then if you have the round cutter set, it is handy to use. But why we need it is to cut the carrot cake, where we are going to make mini carrot cake. So any mini cake for that matter, but it depends on how mini we want to do. Now if I say like, hey, buy a 3-inch ring, or maybe then that portion size comes to a particular weight and then you're going to have it per piece, you're going to sell it for something. Then maybe you want to just reduce the cost of each of the piece, then maybe another smaller size ring or the circle cutter is what you will need to just cut down the portion size. So if you have a circle cutter set, then quite fine. If you don't have, and then if you don't want to invest in all the sizes of the rings, then you could buy 2 individual circle cutters if they are okay. We will just have like about a 3-inch and maybe a 2.5 inch. You don't even want to buy 2 of them, then the ideal size that I would recommend is to use a 3-inch circle cutter. The bread loaf pan. Now we need that for making the Snickers cake. We just am trying to make it like quite flat, so a slice is like not like a loaf of bread. So what we are going to do is like quite flat to just mimic the almost the height of the Snickers. I mean, not very thin as that, but I just want the layers to be quite thin. So I have done that using the bread mold. So if you have a bread mold, yes, or we could just buy. Even this doesn't have to be like this, the exact same size. So even anything that is smaller than this is quite fine as well. You're just going to get layers a little taller. Okay, and acrylic box, because you're going to set tiramisu in a box, and also for you to understand how to set desserts or how to set cakes, lay them in the dessert boxes. So we just have maybe 4 of them, so we'll be able to set the tiramisu in dessert boxes. Then rectangle oven tray, so that will be for your jacquard. What I have done in the lesson is on the baking tray with the silpat, I spread the batter on top of that. Now you could also do that. In that case, you don't need this tray. Okay, so yeah, with that all the tools are done, and you can just first look out on Amazon for the stuffs that you don't have, and then you could place the order there. I feel that is quite easier. For acrylic rings, Hamish has the stock of it. Okay, so he's the one from whom I did buy that, so you could get in touch with him. And again, acrylic rings I have used because I want it to be see-through for the camera, so you guys could see what's happening inside the ring. And if acrylic rings are expensive. Now if you don't want to have an acrylic ring, then obviously you can go for a 6-inch stainless steel regular cake ring itself. and line the inside with OHP, and make sure the OHP is like quite cylindrical, and then you're like, you don't want the, the filling to just kind of ooze out outside of the layers and stuffs. Okay, so you can choose between whether you want to have acrylic ring or stainless steel ring based on how much you want to spend. But obviously acrylic ring is just going to hold the layers. The pluses there, the pros of using an acrylic ring is like quite tall, and then it is going to hold, and I can also see through the layers myself. If you want to do, then you will be able to see it through yourself. Obviously for the cost factor, then the stainless steel will also work fine. Okay, so the scrapers and stuffs, Ultimax is also good, Omcraft also has, and New Arif has about most of the other stuffs like the spatulas, a serrated knife and things like that. But then everything together with one vendor is not available. Every vendor are specialized in different stuffs. So first go through on Amazon, and then you can just check out the vendors and ask them for the catalog of what they have initially. So you could just match up to what they have that you need, and then you can get in touch with them to buy whatever is missed out from your list. Okay, so with this we've just had a brief up of all the tools and materials that are needed. So first write down in your observation notebook whatever is needed, that is given here in the list, and my description about whatever I've just said, you can just write it down and just tick off whatever you already have and compare with whatever is there. Like, maybe you have a scraper, maybe it's like a plastic scraper, and what is given here is the metal one, and maybe you just want to buy one metal one, what you have, because what you have is different than what is there in the document. So just review whatever you have, and then make another list of what you're going to buy, and you can just wait until the course starts and the interactions starts happening in the WhatsApp group, and after which you can just send me this list of this is the work that you've done, because this will be available even before the course starts, this whatever I'm talking to you. So once you register, you're going to have access to this particular video and the document as well. So because we may not be able to interact before the session starts, just do this homework and keep it with you. The first week will be to just interact with you guys and then letting to know how the course is going to work and stuffs. So that time I will just get the list of whatever things you just need to buy, and if you're confident about your stuffs that you want to buy, you can go ahead and order them, place the order. If you have doubt on things and you're like trying to reach out, and if you have it clarified, you can again place an order and then keep things ready. And in case you're just stuck and you just not had the right guidance of what exact stuff you need to buy, you could just wait on or hold until the course starts, and then in the first week we'll just have it clarified, and then you can place the order for the rest of the stuffs. But then we are just hoping that you have most of the materials ready, not most, at least half of it completely ready before we have the first lesson start. So we're just going to have on the day that the course starts, and from there one more week, and then from then on we're just going to have one lesson released. And so we just want to have all the tools ready. So this is an exciting step. Start working on the tools and materials and then keep them ready, and I'll catch you when the course starts to make sure you have all the tools ready and you can just get kick started with the course.